Hello YouTube, this is Al once again for Kindred Souls of Brooklyn. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in, and if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button up there, and I really appreciate it. And anybody has any ideas for videos or any comments, please drop me a line. You can reach me over at Connection, that's Connection at kindredsoulsofbrooklyn.com. And folks, today I'm standing at the spot here in Sheepshead Bay, and what I want to talk about is the 40th anniversary of the death of Elvis Presley, which was August 16th, 1977. And, you know, back then the news wasn't what it was today. We didn't have CNN. We didn't have this, minute-by-minute news that if something happened, you found out about it. So we had found out about it much later. We had found out about it at night. We had heard it on the radio. And we actually were right about here. When we found out the news back in 1977, we were going to Roll & Roaster right back there, my family and I. In fact, across the street right over here is a place where my sister actually got married. It was a different name back then, but we were, I think, finalizing something over there. But I can't remember exactly where we were here, probably just to eat Roll & Roaster maybe, but she did get married there a week later. So I know we were in this area, and I remember we parked right across the street there, and we had heard the news on the radio, and we couldn't believe it. And I just wanted to give a talk on the 40th anniversary of the death of the King, Elvis Presley. You know, a lot of people have glorified him and said different things about him, and I've read a lot of books on him, and I, of course, have seen a lot of documentaries, and and after a while you kind of, I think everybody's got a truth switch inside of you, and some people want to glorify him and some people want to villainize him. And I just think, to be fair and to be honest on this video and on what I'm doing right now, I think he was a special person because, I think Elvis, if you read the books and you really talk to a lot of the people and you see what was really said and how his life went, I think he fought with a lot of demons. I mean, the drugs started in the military back when he was over in Germany. He tried to stay awake all night during guard duty and stuff, and and he started taking the drugs there, liked them, and of course he was very popular before he went into the army. So I think Elvis was always searching for stuff. But the thing that comes across to me, if you watch all these videos and you see the interviews and you read the books, was that as screwed up as Elvis was at certain times, he had this charisma for people. In fact, Elvis, he was actually a twin and had a twin brother, and the twin brother died at birth. The baby's name was Jesse. So Elvis always felt that he had twice the luck of a normal person because he had his brother's luck and he had his luck. And that's how he explained how he broke into music and how all the things happened the way it did. But if you listen to people talk, he had this amazing charisma, and even when Elvis was at his worst, when he was shooting out television sets and he was strung out on drugs, he had this comfort, it seemed, for people, and people could be around him and they wanted to be around him, be it men, be it women. He was one of those rare people that comes along once in a generation. And you think about the people who he inspired to become musicians or to go into show business. I mean, not to take anything away from Frank Sinatra, an amazing singer, guy did a lot of things, but nobody I ever heard of became a rock star or became a musician because of Frank Sinatra. But Elvis Presley, whether it's the Beatles or whether it's Billy Joel or anybody down the road, so many people saw him perform and wanted to become a rock star. So Elvis had this amazing charisma, and I just think, hard to believe it's been 40 years since the death of the King. But yeah, it's been 40 years, and I want to end up going to Graceland. It's amazing. If he's got $1 billion empire. I mean, the man, he performed late into his life, and he was getting ready to do another tour just before he passed away. And basically, his financial empire was on the brink of implosion. That's why he kept doing these live shows, sometimes even 2 of them a day, because basically nobody was buying his records anymore. In fact, one of the famous stories of when Elvis shot out a television set was because of Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson had gone on TV in 1975 and was doing his famous monologue in the beginning of the show, and he said Elvis is fat and Elvis is 40. So that was basically it. I mean, nobody was really buying Elvis's records anymore. You could look it up. His last #1 was 1969, Suspicious Minds. I don't know if we could really count Moody Blue, because he released that one, and it became a #1 after he died. So it really technically wasn't a #1. So Elvis hadn't scored a #1 in like 8 or 9 years, and he was depressed over it, and the money wasn't really coming in the way he wanted it to. And he performed all these shows, and if you watch him talk about the shows and even talk about that part in his life, a large reason why he did those shows was because he had a lot of people on his bankroll, and he didn't want to put them out of work. And some of these people were hangers-on, and they were yes men, but then again, Elvis was a grown man, and he did what he wanted to do. And if you watch these things, it comes across that Elvis was pretty bored in his life. I mean, when you have everything that money can buy, when you can shoot out a television and know that you can replace it in 2 seconds, I guess it's kind of boring. So I guess that explains, partly, all the women and all the different things that he did. Flying in an airplane 3 hours just for a peanut butter sandwich. The overeating. He was always a nervous person. He was always struggled with his weight. One of the original stories was back in like the 50s. He had done a show, and people didn't know where he was. And where was he? He was in a closet, literally eating 2 cheeseburgers, because he was just, as good as he was, he was nervous. So I think we should celebrate Elvis's life and the inspiration that he brought on this 40th anniversary. And I think part of his allure is that he was human. He was far from perfect, but again, he had this amazing charisma. And even in his death, I mean, it's amazing. He's got a $1 billion empire. They just opened up, Graceland. Just to give you 2 amazing statistics that I just found out about. The second most visited house in America is Graceland. And the #1 requested archive photograph from the National Archives is the photograph of Elvis when he met Nixon, which is another amazing story. Shows up at the guardhouse, writes a letter on the airplane, ends up seeing Nixon. They made a movie out of it last year. Very incredible. They should definitely see it. But the man is worth so much money. So now at Graceland, it's so popular that they actually opened up a big hotel over there called it's Graceland, and I think it's called the Graceland Arms or something. And people go in there left and right. They're doing an Elvis week. They do an Elvis week all the time for his birth. They do it for the anniversary of death. So I want to go over there sooner or later. My son lives in Alabama, and right around Birmingham. So that's only about a 5-hour ride. I think it's actually 3 hours by car. So I want to end up doing a video over there sooner or later. I'm going to see my son actually next week, but I don't think we're going to have the time to go over to Memphis, but that's going to be definitely in the future. So I think, again, like I said, folks, I wanted to come to the spot to commemorate this, and because this is actually right where we were, my mother, father, and I, when we found out that Elvis had died. And everyone was talking about it, and you could see people who had transistor radios and coming out of the house watching the TV. It was amazing. And like I said, I think we should celebrate his life, and I think not only because of what he did, but because of who he inspired and the charisma that he had. And realized that, the man had a lot of frustrations. One of the other things I think he was frustrated over but I think happy over, was that he only got 1 Grammy in his life, and it was for gospel music. And never really got a Grammy for anything that he had done regularly. So I think he dealt with a lot of frustration. I think, like I said, that's what makes him human. So, folks, I really appreciate you tuning in to this talk on Elvis. Hopefully he'll inspire us all to do greater things, and for better or for worse. We don't want to repeat the stuff that he did, but we want to celebrate his life. So, folks, thank you once again for tuning in. Please drop me a line. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments, and I'll see you real soon. Have a great day.